Hi, I'm Erin from Slice of Heaven and Snafood. I wanted to do a video tutorial of sorts on how to braid a six-braid challah. You can find my recipe on mrscoxblog.com/snafood. That's my food blog, all recipes and pictures of the food that we eat and stuff like that. When I started out making challah, I would just do a 3-braid, so just like you're braiding your hair, and that's actually really simple to do. But then I started trying to do a 6-braid, which is a little bit more complicated, but once you get used to it, it's actually really easy and it's fluid, and you just, obviously you get used to it, so it's a lot easier than when you first start. So I will show you kind of, hopefully it turns out okay, the video, but I'll show you how I braid a 6-braid challah. Okay, so what I'm going to do basically is roll out one of the strands to show you. I started with a full batch of challah dough, separated it in two by weighing it. I use this little food scale. It comes in very handy, by the way, for baking, especially if you're weighing out flour. Divided that by 2 equally, and then divided each of the 2 into 6 pieces by weighing again. You might have a tiny bit left over, and that's fine, but for the most part each strand should be the same weight. So what I basically did was divide them up, roll them into balls, and then each of the balls I start to just gently roll out with my hands. You can use a rolling pin if you'd like. I prefer just doing it by hand, but it's definitely a fun bread to make, and I enjoy making it every week. It's definitely something that's relaxing, and it tastes, obviously it tastes really good. So okay, so once you have a rope about, I don't know, a foot long maybe, then you can put it with the others. Okay, now I have my 6 braids, or 6 ropes I should say. And basically what I'm going to do is kind of stretch them out a tiny bit more and put them together at the top. Gently, you don't want to completely mash it all together, because you want to have a distinguished, like a defined little braid at the top. So bring this top one over, this far right one over, and then the far left one over. And now you want to kind of get everyone as high up as you can. Like that. We will start by bringing this one down to the center. A good way to look at this is to look at it like you're looking at a person with 2 arms and 4 legs. Okay? So you want to bring the right arm down to the center. Bring the top left leg up to the right arm. That's your new right arm, if that makes sense. Okay? And reposition. Bring all the little legs over. Now bring your left arm down to center, and your far right leg up to where the left arm was. So you're just constantly switching your arms and legs. Basically, that's what you're doing. And you just repeat all the way down. Repositioning as you go, and it doesn't have to be perfect, obviously. You're making it by hand, that's what matters. And if you ever get stuck, just kind of retrace your steps a bit. Like I said, I've been doing the 6-braid for a few months now, and I've gotten pretty, well, I've gotten pretty comfortable with it. When you first start out doing a 6-braid, go slow, so that way you can make sure you are doing it correctly and you don't have to start over. If you do find that you messed up somehow, just unbraid it gently and then start fresh. You see how it's starting to form its braid there, the 6-braid. So we just did that one. This one comes down, and this one goes over. And as you start to run out of ropes, because you're obviously going to eventually, you just want to be a little bit tighter with your braid to get more out of it. See, this one's starting to already taper in. And that's okay, because that's what we want it to do. And just keep tucking them. Trying to keep them as separate as possible, because this is where it starts getting a little bit tricky. Okay, now I'm bringing the longest one back over. Bring this one down a bit and bring this up. And what I'm going to do, because this is just what I do, I don't know what other people do when they braid a 6-loaf or a 6-braid, but I tuck it under. So that way you still have a visible, distinguished, defined braid without wasting any dough. And again, it's not perfect. It doesn't look exactly like the ones that you see in the bakeries, but you made it yourself. And so what I'm going to do with this now is cover it with a towel and let it rise. Basically do its final proofing, which, if you don't know what that means, it's the last rise that you do for bread. So I'm going to cover it and let it do its final proofing, and then we'll bake it in the oven. And that is how you braid a 6-braid challah loaf.